starting with K-State at home, 42, Oklahoma State 20. We did it in our main podcast here. Very impressive win for K-State to bounce back and get the dub. 40 points at home. 11 straight games, K-State has scored 30 or more at home. This is a get-right game for K-State. I'm not sure where Oklahoma State goes from here. They start 0-2 in Big 12 play. A loss at home, a loss on the road. But, I mean, it's not like you're losing to bad teams. Utah and K-State are pretty good teams, but K-State was definitely the better team for this game.
Yeah, I don't think that Oklahoma State just falls off a cliff here. I think that they did have the toughest schedule going into the season, playing arguably the top two other teams that are in the Big 12. And so to have to go against that is a tall task to ask for. And, unfortunately for them, the coin didn't flip their way. So they're starting 0-2, but I don't believe that they're like going to come apart at the seams. I think they're going to bounce back and they're going to probably have at least 6 wins. I mean, in the season, that they're definitely going to be bowl game eligible, but we'll see what happens in the Big 12 to see if they are a team that somehow makes it to Arlington. I mean, anything can happen in this conference, but huge win for the Cats. It was a must-win game, and also it was a game that we needed the offense to bounce back after having an abysmal game the week before, not even getting a touchdown. This time, finally getting 6 touchdowns. I said 6 touchdowns. That's what you want to see from K-State Wildcats if you're a K-State fan.
Absolutely. And, no one's going to feel bad for Oklahoma State, considering they had all their toughest games last year at home. And that's why they got to the Big 12 championship game. I fully feel like K-State would have beaten them a year ago had that game been in Manhattan. Karma, man. You could say that
about a lot of the games that K-State played on the road. I mean, Missouri, Texas. Yeah.
So yeah, no one feels bad for Oklahoma State after last year. So big win for K-State. By the way, both of us picked K-State to win by a touchdown, and they won by a lot more than that.
Steve.
This is crazy.
That Arizona win looks a lot better now.
It does. It does. I did not stay up for this. I went to bed. Arizona was leading 10-3 at halftime. Utah had gone for twice on 4th down, 4th and goal, actually, I want to say, both times, and they did not get it. This is a great win for Utah. For Arizona. I cannot say that. I got to say it right. Arizona with the win here by 2 scores. They were the underdogs by 2 scores. Both of us picked Utah to win. It feels like Utah, not having Cam Rising, finally caught up to them.
But the thing is, Steve, I don't think that it was the lack of Cam Rising because, dude, Wilson was actually very impressive. He was getting bullied pretty hardcore, though, because that line looks a little sus to me, Steve. They were not giving him a lot of time, but, man, the time that he gave him, he was getting, sacked and then throwing dimes to people. He's impressive. He's a lot. I think he's just as good, if not better, than his brother, for sure. But, dude, Wilson, I think he's probably...
Wait. It's his brother, Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
That's his brother?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Isn't it weird that, his brother played for BYU and he's playing for Utah? That's kind of interesting. But, no.
Lincoln Cure's brother plays for KU, and Lincoln's going to come to K-State, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, Wilson actually was impressive in that game. Despite them losing, I don't think that you could put that on him. I don't think Cam Rising would have been better. Maybe in a senior, whatever, seniority thing or a captain or whatever, being able to talk to the team or something. But in terms of snapping the ball and just trying to make the play, I think Isaac Wilson? I can't think of it. I don't know his first name.
I'll click on him real quick. Puduk wants to know if we technically hold the tiebreaker over Arizona, even though it wasn't a conference game. That I do not know. I would imagine that we do. I imagine that K-State does
Isaac.
not hold the tiebreaker over them.
Dude,
I
he
don't think it'll
literally looks like
matter.
Zach. He literally looks
Yeah,
just like Zach.
seriously.
But yeah, so Isaac Wilson was not the problem with Utah. But Arizona, man, what coming off of a bye week, dude, that if you had a game coming off a bye week and you had to go against Utah at Utah, man, to be able to walk in there and come out with a dub, my hat's got to go out to Arizona. They had two very, just like we talked about Oklahoma State. Arizona had the same exact, not the same exact, but a similar situation where they had
Theirs
to
was
go
harder.
against.
Theirs was harder.
Yeah, theirs was harder because they weren't at home, but they had to go against Utah and go against K-State, not in that order. But they went against K-State, got absolutely demolished, and then went to Utah. So both were away games and walked out with a dub. Man, that's impressive. I don't know what that says something about Utah, or was Arizona not ready for K-State? It could be a whole host of different things. I don't want to speculate too much on it because at the end of the day, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. But unless you're KU, but but for Arizona to walk into Utah and come out with a dub, that's impressive. I didn't watch the whole game either, Steve. I actually fell asleep on the couch, which I hate doing. But I ended up doing that.
Yeah, I feel like this game says a lot more about Arizona than it does about Utah. I mean, for them to be able to bounce back like they did with the first-year head coach, now we knew they had a bunch of weapons and a lot of talent on that team, but for them to be able to bounce back like that is great to see, especially considering, I mean, you had two rough games back-to-back, both on the road, and for them to go 1-1, I feel like a lot of Arizona fans would have taken that. Now, Utah side of things, I think you're definitely missing Cam Rising, even though your quarterback passed for 280 yards. I feel like there's some questionable coaching going on when you're going for it multiple times on fourth down and you're not getting it. And considering one of those was a passing play, I don't know what you're doing. But they'll both be fine. I almost feel like I didn't feel this way a week ago. I feel this way today. I feel like there might be a 6-3 conference team that gets into the Big 12 championship game because this is a gauntlet, man. This is a tough conference, man.
It happened before. It's happened before.
It has. It's happened before. So, yeah. Let's move on here. Iowa State winning 20-0, but do not let that fool you. Iowa State was up 3-0 at halftime and 10-0 through three quarters. They were not impressive at all. Now, they did get their third shutout conference win of the Matt Campbell era, and shout out to him because I believe he became the all-time winningest head coach in Iowa State history. Both of us had them winning like 59 to like nothing. But you know, shout out to Houston for not laying down, at least defensively. Their offense is still god awful. Obviously, they scored 0 points, and I think back-to-back games, one at home and one on the road.
Eight quarters without a single score, Steve.
Yeah, Houston's really bad. They're by far the worst team in the conference, and you know, Iowa State won by 3 scores. That's good, but I mean, they did not look good doing it, man. I still feel like they're probably one of the top teams in the Big 12, but they did not look good. They did not.
Penalties really ate up Houston, man, which is unfortunate for them. I think there was a touchdown that got called back, or there was a huge play that got called back because of penalties. It's unfortunate for them. I kind of feel bad for Houston. I mean, Willie Fritz is an amazing coach and a huge asset to have for that university. And they did pull up this stat where he would come in on his first year and it would always be a stinker on every college he's went to. The first year he would be there, and then like the following years he would only lose like a total of like 4 games for the entire like time he was on the team. So you'd only lose like 1 game or 2 games, whatever, for the season. So I definitely don't blame coaching staff here. It's just there's going to be some growing pains with Houston, but hats off to Houston, like you said, for not laying down against arguably one of the best schools in the Big 12. Iowa State, man, what are you doing? You have really failed expectations in this game. You were supposed to run the gauntlet against this team. This is not, I mean, you want to be happy you got a dub, but the fans are not like, they're not on any forums talking trash right now. They're kind of walk of shame. Like they got the dub, but they're like, yeah, we got the dub.
Like, okay, so Puduk says that Iowa State has a really favorable schedule. Let's take a look at it here. They play Baylor at West Virginia, UCF at home, Texas Tech at home, at KU, which, I mean, that's going to be all Iowa State fans in Arrowhead.
Yeah, they said it 1,000. Steve, they said it 1,000 times on the broadcast. Yeah, it was like they don't go against a top 20 team until November.
The final 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, they have. I mean, I could see them being, 9-1, 10-0 for sure. Heading into the final 2 weeks at Utah is going to be a very tough game.
When's their bye week? Or they already had their bye week.
So, I mean, it's going to be tough for them for sure. The final 2 weeks, but before that, I could see them being 10-0. I really could. But I mean, if you're gonna play like you did yesterday, you're gonna get beat. So,
if they're playing. Oh wait, no, they have Texas Tech at Ames. Man, I was gonna say Texas Tech might actually give them a run for their money.
UCF is pretty good at home too, but yeah, I mean they could be 9-1 or 10-0 for sure going into the final 2 weeks. So, let's move on here. Because I feel like I have to give an apology letter to BYU fans.
I don't, because I actually called them to win.
I'm sorry I picked you guys to lose. You guys are actually legit. You guys were up 21-0, 31-14. You almost let them come back. You almost did. You almost let Baylor come back and win the game, but you didn't. You guys are 5-0. Your quarterback's amazing. Almost 400 yards by himself. BYU's a good team, man. They're 5-0, and I have to say I'm sorry to BYU fans for picking the wrong team to win. You guys are legit. Passing the ball, you guys are very good. We'll see what happens going forward. 5-0 is very good, and like I said, I'm very sorry for picking Baylor to win the game. Now, I did pick them to score 31 points, and they almost did. They almost did. You guys did give up a couple touchdowns to some receivers, which has not happened all season long. But also, they won at SMU. You know what SMU did yesterday? They dominated Florida State. Now, Florida State is having a bad season. They're not a good team, but they absolutely demolished Florida State. And BYU won at SMU. I think SMU scored 66 the week before against TCU, which TCU just got done beating KU, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'd say I'm very sorry for picking BYU to lose. They were clearly the better team, and they're 5-0 for a reason. They're a very good football team, and they're sneaky good, man. They could make the Big 12 championship game. So I'm sorry, BYU fans. I'm sorry, Cougar Nation, for picking the wrong team.
Yeah, I had my prediction was to go with BYU only due to the fact I don't think Baylor is very good. And I thought that maybe it's not so much of a hangover, but it was more so maybe they're just like really hype. It could be one or the other. You either get a hangover or you're just hyped and you believe in yourself and you're going with a lot of confidence. And so I went with the latter. I said BYU is probably just really confident now because I felt like Kansas State really beat themselves last week. It wasn't necessarily BYU running the table. Now, BYU, of course, capitalized on every one of K-State's mistakes.
Every one of them, and shout out to them for doing that. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying so far.
Every single mistake that Kansas State made, BYU capitalized on it, and of course, that resulted in the score of what it was last week. And so, coming into this game, I was like, well, I'm not really 100% sold on their offense, but I mean, when we had Brett Hammer on, he was telling us Red Slav is the kind of guy that likes chaos, and when there's chaos in the game, he thrives off of it. And man, I'm not sure I didn't watch the game because it was around the same time that Kansas State was playing, so I was not watching the BYU game. But it didn't look. I mean, I don't know how much chaos was going on when your guy is getting 21 points before Baylor even scores. I think this has a lot to do with with what Baylor, who Baylor is versus who BYU is. I know it might sound like we're not giving BYU credit, which is unfortunate. We have a small sample size of what you guys have this year, and but you're 5-0. I mean, you're 2-0 in Big 12. Take that for what it's worth. I would definitely want to keep my eyes on this BYU team as the season goes, because right now, currently, they're the only undefeated school in the Big 12, and that should mean something.
No,
So,
I would say it's undefeated too. They're the only
oh
two.
yeah. I keep forgetting
But
because
I
they're
right.
a game they're a game behind because of the bye week they had.
I want to say one positive and one negative, and then we'll move on here to TCU and KU. The positive is that they're 5-0. They're the only team that has won 3 road games so far in the Big 12, and they've won all of them. And they're 5-0 overall. One negative they got to figure out is why they only scored 3 points after halftime. I mean, I know your guys were up big, but laying an egg in the second half almost got you beat. But you didn't. You won. But there's a little bit to clean up, man. There's a little bit to clean up if you're BYU. So shout out to them for being 5-0 and winning this game. Again, I'm sorry for picking the wrong team. Moving on. We both picked TCU to win. Neither one of us had them winning by double digits, I don't think. I had them winning 31-30. They made a bunch of plays in the fourth quarter to win. It was a back and forth game. I love it. I love this score, man. I do. I love it. I don't know what's going on at KU, but the football gods are right for the first time all season. K-State's 4-1. KU's 1-4. Everything is right in the world, man.
Everyone's happy now. The fact that this happened at Arrowhead Stadium even just gives me more of a smile on my face, that they were embarrassed at like a NFL stadium, like, and there are some pictures that were taken. It says the Jayhawk walk is back, like with them leaving the stadium. I was like, dude, this is so amazing to watch. Yeah, man. KU. Yep, I think you're done for the year. JD6 is a bust. Yeah, I don't know, man. Their season's done.
Yeah, I mean 50% on him and 50% on their OC for sure. I mean, their last play was 4th and 10, and he throws it to a guy 5 yards short of the first down who drops it anyways. But I mean, what are you doing, Jalen Daniels? Like, I do not know what's going on. I mean, I love it. I love it as a K-State fan. K-State grad ×2 from Manhattan. I love it. I think both of us said the smart play was to pick KU to win this game, and glad we did not go with the smart play, man. I mean, TCU, they responded in the right way after giving up 66 points a week ago and then losing in the final minute to UCF. Their season's not over, man. We'll see what happens with them. They're 3-2, 1-1 in the Big 12. But man, I love this score. I love that they came in to Arrowhead and gave KU an L.
Yeah, and I really want them to get rid of that damn Jayhawk on the center of that field. Like, that was such a disgrace to the Chiefs. How dare you put a Jayhawk in the center of that field? That is absolutely disrespectful, and that needs to be called down from above. The NCAA needs to call that down.
Love it. Love it. Moving on.
This is the shocker. This is the shocker, Steve.
Is Colorado actually good? Are they actually good, man?
What? Okay.
I have a feeling UCF, that they actually are.
Hold on. Before we jump the gun here, Steve, UCF, they just came off of a bye week. The game that they played prior to that was against TCU, which we now are realizing that they're kind of booty. So, and it was a comeback win. They had to claw back to win that game. UCF at home against a Colorado team that barely won their previous game. against Baylor, overtime, crazy Hail Mary throw, basically going to overtime, and then gets that fumble there at the very end. You're thinking, dude, they're going to have such a hangover. They're literally flying across the nation to UCF. They might not be able to pull this off, but they did, Steve. They did. And I think a huge amount of credit has to go to Travis Hunter. That dude was on freaking fire. On fire. And
Did you see him hit the Heisman pose? Did you see him hit the Heisman pose, dude? That was actually pretty sick.
It was pretty sick. It always he always comes a little. I mean, that team always comes off a little gaudy to me. You know what I mean? A little cocky. But I mean, hey, if you got the skill to back it up, hey, I love it. It's just the same as if when Jace Brown blows a kiss at the opposing team's cheerleaders. I mean, you just scored a touchdown. Have a little bit of this, have a little bit of that. But I want to say that I was watching this game, and the broadcasting kept mentioning that Colorado is out rushing UCF, which is kind of surprising considering UCF is known for their incredible rushing offense. And they basically just got destroyed. A couple sacks on Shadur. Their line is still really, really sus. We're going to be talking about Colorado a lot in the next couple weeks because guess what? We're playing them at Boulder. So it's going to be interesting going in there. And yeah, man,
they're good, man. I think they're actually good. The UCF defense got exposed yesterday. I mean, they haven't.
I never thought UCF's defense was really good to begin with.
No,
that's the thing.
I agree.
That's the thing. And we saw that Baylor lost again. So how good is Baylor really? And they put them into overtime. I'm going to hold off on Colorado's hype train until they actually play some legitimate teams like Cincinnati or Texas Tech or K-State, which they're going to be playing K-State, Arizona, Utah. They haven't played any of those teams yet. Oklahoma State, they haven't played a team with a solid defense yet, Steve. So I'm waiting. Okay, go ahead and read this, Steve. UCF offense
yeah, go ahead.
UCF offense is really bad, in my opinion. They run the same thing every drive. RPO with Harvey, handoff, RPO with Jefferson, keeper, then RPO with slant pass punt. Okay, at Colorado.
Sorry, I'm trying to look up this rankings to see if I want to see if Colorado's ranked or not.
I'll tell you what, Steve. Put Parrish up against Travis. Put Parrish up against Travis Hunter.
I would put Parrish up against almost anyone. Travis Hunter's pretty freaking good, man. It's gonna be a tough game here in 2 weeks.
Is he better? Is he better than T-Mac? No.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's a better overall player because he can play both sides, but he's not better than T-Mac. It's gonna be a fun game, and as of right now, Colorado's not ranked.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. There's a reason why UCF wasn't ranked because they didn't play anybody really. So their wins are kind of like whatever. I mean, we played against Arizona. We won. We played against Tulane. We won. We played against Oklahoma State. We won. Like, those are legit teams that K-State has already played. Colorado has not had that same kind of schedule. They played a really bad Baylor team, and they played against a UCF team coming off of a bye week that's looking sus. So UCF does have the players. RJ Harvey is the real deal, no doubt about it. But their defense has never been good, dude. We've said this last time. DJ ran all over them last year. So Colorado, good on you guys going down to Orlando, putting up a performance like that. I mean, hats off to you. I mean, Travis Hunter absolutely went freaking off. Shedeur Sanders, solid quarterback, probably the best quarterback in the country. I mean,
I don't know about in the country, but I would definitely say in the Big 12 he's the best quarterback right now, at least. And
He's
I'm
up there.
surprised that they didn't rank them, considering how much ESPN and everyone loves Colorado. I mean, we'll find out when an AP poll comes out. In the coaches poll, though, they are not ranked. KSTATE has moved up from 25th to 20th overall. But yeah, I mean, this is a big win for Colorado, and
Big win. I'll give them credit.
Huge
I'll
win.
give them credit. I did not expect them to go down to Orlando and put up these kind of points. I thought it would be a lot closer game if they were going to win. It was going to be a lot closer game. But honestly, I thought UCF was going to run the table. I mean, they should be coming off fresh off of a bye week. I mean, I thought they were going to be firing off, with being well rested, everyone licking their wounds. This is not good for UCF. I mean, yeah, I was expecting this to be a high scoring game, and Colorado shut them down. So
yep, they did.
hats off to Colorado. We got a lot to talk about in the upcoming weeks on that team, but for now, we'll leave it at that and move on here to
last game. This is a high scoring game. I think the over under was like 70. Of course, it hit the over. 85 combined points. Texas Tech with the home win.
Yeah.
I think Cincinnati's offense, I could see why PFF loves it so much. Texas Tech might be a little bit better than we thought. But, I mean, they still have a lot of problems defensively, both of these teams do. And that's why they're going to be in the middle of the pack for the Big 12. But, I mean, this is a fun game if you like a lot of offense. And Texas Tech with the home win, man. They start 2-0 in conference play. It's pretty good. I mean, I think that's exactly what you want if you were a Texas Tech fan, especially if you look at their schedule so far. I think they'd be happy at the beginning of the season if they started 4-1. So,
yeah, you can't be upset if you're a Texas Tech fan. I mean, it does look ugly. It looks ugly, but the W is a W at the end of the day. And if you would have told, like you said, if you would have asked a Texas Tech fan, said, "Hey, would you mind being 4-1 after 5 weeks and being 2-0 in the Big 12?" But and a loss to Washington State, I'm pretty sure they would have been like fine with it. Not giving any context to these games of how close they are.
You mean Abilene Christian? They're not going to. Yeah, no context there. We don't need context. That. Win is a win.
Yeah, win is a win. And Texas Tech fans are gonna keep they're gonna keep getting excited and I'm happy for the Red Raiders winning at home. Now they're going to be going on the road. They have had 2 games at home for the Big 12. So now it's time to see what they can do on the road in the Big 12. But like I said earlier,
absolutely,
last week was all about the home field advantage, and every team except for obviously Stillwater won at home. And then this week it's flipped. It was flipped. Except for K-State got the home field advantage win, and Levitt got the home field advantage win. Everywhere else, they lost at home. That's devastating for the fan base for all these other teams. I mean, we don't need to talk about KU. They don't really even have a fan base anymore. But the rest.
5 games, the road team won. 5 out of the 7, the road team won. So that's crazy.
That's rare. That's rare. Only in the Big 12.
I agree. And that's a look around the Big 12 for week 5, man.